Hey class, it's before finals and I wanted to make a final video for you in order to give you an overview of everything that's expected, give you a plan of action so that you're as ready as possible for our reviews next week and that you are able to create the best version of your independent project and create a super awesome brand that you can present to our final critique reviewers and end up with a real great piece that tops off our class experience together. So there's a week till, or less than a week for some of you till these presentations. And although you may be in, stressed out panic mode, there's plenty of time. And the key is going to be time management and communication with me, sharing and asking questions via email, Slack, or setting up a Zoom meeting. And for sure, I want you to put this as a priority. My expectation is that if it takes you working both days of the weekend and spending late nights, getting up early, all those things are applicable, and you should feel good about doing that, because this is about really completing something that each of you have done very well, but doing it to the fullest extent, running to the finish line as fast as you can, and getting the best project you can, because this is going to be a big representation of your abilities, something that you can be proud of, and something that you can showcase when looking for that next career move and building yourself into the great professionals that each of you are going to be. So let's just quick summary. There's going to be a few other things I'm expecting from you that I want to clarify and make sure that you're all aware of in order to finish the class, in order to get your full, for me to assess you and give you your full complete grade. So first off is the finalizing of your social good project, your independent project, which we're going to talk about a little bit more, but that's obviously the big thing to do, the number one priority, to get that done, to get that finalized in the best way possible, and to make a full, complete presentation from start to finish. And what I'm going to expect as well is that each of you, like I'm doing right here, right now, create a Zoom video of your presentation of your independent project. So I want everyone to take the time to set up your Zoom, to hit record, and to go through your presentation from beginning to end in the same way that you'll be doing for your final review session. And what I'm wanting and hoping is that you'll all have time to do that, and do that before your actual review, so that you do a practice session, so that you can review it from start to finish and be able to understand the best way to talk about it and to look at it and watch it and be prepared in the best way possible. In the event that you can't do that and you're scrambling to get ready to the very end, it's okay if you do it afterwards, but I'll want them all done by the end of the week, by Friday. But I want to make that be just the emergency plan. And ideally, I'd like you to get practice doing the presentation, because your presentation part is a big part of your grade. It's not just about the visuals you create. It's about the full presentation, and it's about how you talk about it. And then another mini assignment, additional assignment that I'm going to want everyone to do is that Juliet and Lynn have set up a Miro page, and one more Miro page to work on. And that Miro page is simply a showcase of all the topics' final independent projects. And on that page, they've set up a little template where you can post 3 images of your project and some text that overviews and summarizes your project. So I'm going to want everyone to do that. And that'll be part of how I assess whether you've completed your course, and points will be held against you if you don't do it. So do that for sure. And then during our presentation sessions next week, I'm going to expect everyone to participate in both of them as audience when you're not presenting. And if there's something that comes up that you can't, you have to let me know in advance. But during that session, I'm going to want each of you to select 5 presentations that you choose to write a review that's with summaries of your personal feedback on the project, and utilizing a Google Docs that I created, and I'll show you that in a little bit. But in terms of next week, I've broken up the class in 2. And again, everyone comes to both class sessions full for the full time. So make sure you have a nice comfortable seat and some snacks with you. But the way we're going to do it is we're going to have Sarah, Ron, Mina, Sia, Malini, Simran, and Jay be on Monday in that order. And I have times here just in general so that we stay on track. And Ivana, JC, Zed, Aisha, Kelly, Mara, Rachel, and Gina on Wednesday. And basically within these 20-minute sessions, you have 10 to 15 minutes to present your project, and then 5 to 10 minutes for feedback. So I know some of these could be long, so make sure that you're putting the right focus and time on the portions that are important, and that you pace yourself in a good way, but that you don't cut things out and make it not a full presentation. So you could have a lot of pages and you can have a lot of sections, but it's a matter of how much time you spend talking about them. So to show something quickly doesn't have to take a lot of time, but I want to make sure that everyone's presentations are thorough throughout. Okay, so as I said, we're going to have the 2 sessions next week with everyone participating, and that you'll be required to not only present yours on the day you're scheduled, but to write a review of 5 of your classmates' presentations. The way we're setting it up is we're going to have 2 or maybe 3 for part of one of them, 2 or 3 guest judges each of those days, and that you'll present for 10 to 15 minutes, and feedback from the judges will follow that. So when it comes to what should be in your final presentation, I can kind of go over this in general and make kind of a specific recommendation, but everyone has a little bit of unique project and a little bit of different things that are applicable for what they present. So it's not about you following this list blindly or just doing it because I'm saying it. Each of you should think about how you want to set up your presentation, take the learnings from the first rebranding project, and realize that what's important is the front end material, talking about the intention of the project, talking about the research, talking about the sort of intended target audiences and in competition, or any kind of inspirational existing organizations or brands that are relevant to setting up your concept, and then talking about your concept of what your brand is going to be, talking about the kind of strategy, and then bringing in the idea of how you would name it, what the concept of the name is, and don't sell that short. That is part of your design, the idea that you came up with a name for a brand. So make sure you present it in that way as something you take ownership for. Once you show the name, then talk about how you develop the brand, and that's going to involve the brand personality mood boards and the design inspiration mood boards, and so that you set up a vision for what you want your brand to look like, and then you follow up that vision with your design concepts. And you may have 2 or 3 of those concepts. Those have mood boards that go with them as well, and show how those designs look, and then come up with your final decision on what your new brand looks like. And then from there, you kind of switch gears from being a brand development designer to then being showing the implementation of how your brand is going to take on the cause that you're advocating for or against, and how you're going to create awareness, solve the problem, and show each of these different ideas as these mini presentations about how you would use design activations like packaging or applications or a website or social media, how you'd create a campaign, how you'd promote this, how you would develop products to raise money and awareness, how you would create publications, is there a motion aspect, and really bring together all the aspects of the topics class so that you're able to really show a holistic approach towards how you're going to create a brand, how you would create this brand that utilizes design, that engages people into taking actions and causing the positive result you're seeking. So that's obviously a key section, and make sure that you design that in a way where you're not just showing images. I encourage everyone to put text, even if it's small captions that help explain what each prototype, which each visual you show looks like. Make sure that there's a way that if somebody viewed this without you being there, that they could look and read through some basic clear text so they would understand the presentation without your words. At the same time, don't put too much text. So find that right balance. Create visuals that are strong. You know, at times use the full page to do a more of a wow factor of your design. Make sure it's not, you don't let your template and your headings or footers always be there, and do have those kind of moments of like real precise showcasing so that it has this like real strong presence. And then a real important thing to do that I want to make sure everybody does is before you end with the thank you page. The thank you page is of course very important, but that you have before that thank you page, you have this overview grid page that shows a series of images that are from your presentation. It doesn't have to include every single thing you've done, but it basically gives highlights of the best parts of it, so that when you finish your presentation, any thank you page, you then immediately go back one page to that page, and that's where your presentation rests when the reviewers start to give feedback, so they can easily see kind of the whole vision of your work in one place. And if they want to ask you to flip back to certain sections, they can do that, but it may not be necessary if everything's there. So you want to highlight the best parts of your campaign in this like nicely curated grid of images that showcase your work in one slide. All right, so just things to think about when you're creating your or when you're executing your presentation. Some of the criteria that you'll be evaluated for, making sure you have all the elements that I've asked for in some form, that you don't end up just showcasing your finished design and you don't show your research, you don't talk about the cause, you don't talk about what the project is about. Like I want to have the full communication. Remember, these are people who have not seen this at all. So you can't rely on past presentations or conversations that you've had with me or with your classmates. It's a fresh person, so you have to tell the full story. So that's going to be part of the criteria. How you present and talk about your cause is going to be part of it, that you make that clear what the situation is that you're trying to change, and what the issues are. Most of you have done a pretty good job at this, but if you feel that that's weak and needed to get some statistics or some infographics, make sure that that's a clear part of your presentation. It shouldn't take a long time, but you need to make sure you clearly state what's going on and how it's unique and how you feel it needs to be addressed in some way. And then presentation of your strategy for your brand and the concept of your brand, and that whole part where you're kind of creating a vision in the beginning, like you want your brand to do these things and you list the kind of things you want to do. Those things in your list end up showing up later when you create your design presentation. So it's about kind of showing a vision, creating a brand, and then executing that list, you know, in some way where you're showing like, I envisioned this thing and now here it is. So make sure you have a strategy, a concept, a clear voice, a clear mission, a clear way your brand is going to have a personality and how it would exist in the world, using text, visuals. And then, of course, your design activations are basically showing how you've designed your brand, showing how you've designed all the programs, all the promotions, the campaigns, the incentives, the products, all the things you're doing, how well those are designed from a visual perspective and from a conceptual perspective. And then it's going to be about your presentation delivery, like how well you communicate things, how well you're able to speak about this. And it's not about being how good of a speaker you are in that sort of, you know, talent way. It's more about how organized you are and how effective you are in being able to be authentic, your authentic self, and be able to speak in a way where there's the obvious authenticity and passion and the proper information that gets delivered in a clear way. And this overall, the presentation design, like remember, the design of this is not just that logo you've created, not just that app or that product or that poster or that ad. It's the full presentation. That's that whole thing. Even you talking is the design that we're looking at. So the overall presentation is going to be important. So make sure you have your presentation finalized, and there's going to be, I've posted this on Canvas, but there's a link there to post your final presentation on Google Drive. And that's very important that you do that. Everyone must have that on there. It's a big part of your grade. And then for the additional assignments, it's going to be about creating this Miro board. I'm going to skip ahead here. Here's the Miro board that they've created. And this is just a single template entry here. So branding is going to be our class and I guess a couple other classes, but I want to make sure that we all of ours are here. Put your project and your project title here, and then put a description of what you did, and then pick key images that show, your identity, and then some applications that can be, that I know it's 3 is maybe not very many when you think about how many pages you have, but find a way to condense it into a simple three images. And there's going to be a Google Docs that is linked in Canvas that you can get to this Google Docs that has a link to that Miro board, as well as it has a link to the Google Doc that we use for the final presentation. Where is that thing? Here it is. So the feedback form, I'm calling it final review feedback form, is a Google Doc form that you can utilize. There's 5 of these entries. This is just showing part of it, but there's 1 through 5, and basically you put your name, put the name of the person who's presenting that you're reviewing, and the project name or the cause name, and then just provide feedback. Your thoughts on the effectiveness of the overall presentation, how you thought the design solution was implemented, like your feelings about that, feedback about what you found to be successful and effective in the project overall, and then any opportunities for improvement that you saw that might be helpful. And this doesn't have to be long. It doesn't have, it's just kind of like, here's your chance to practice giving feedback, and being able to do it in a written form, because I think that's going to be very important for all of you who are going to be future leaders, that you'll be doing that a lot, giving feedback in different ways. So I want you to try to do some good professional written feedback. So when we do the presentations, I want you to be sure that you post this. So the independent project final presentation is in our class Google Drive, and I've got 2 folders in there, one for the presentation decks where you put your decks, and the other for your Zoom videos. So please be sure you post in both of those, so that that by Friday, those are both completed and I'm able to do grading. And speaking of grading, just a reminder of the way we're going to do this in terms of the rubric that has been developed for this class. The things that we're going to be looking at for the final, which is 50 points. These are all 10 points. So the visual quality, it's kind of like the design aspect, and then the thinking and critical and conceptual thinking behind that, the response, like how you've been able to create responses to feedback, and even met your own challenges in terms of the things you wanted to do, the process you went through, the risk taking, the iterations, the refinements, your ability to be flexible and change and evolve, and then your professionalism, the way you've worked through the process, your attendance, the way you've made progress each week. That's going to be a factor. So all those will add up to the 50 points and end up becoming half of your grade. The other half being the in-class project we did. This is all for the rebranding project we did. And cross-topic extra, and these are for the workshops, the points you did there. Anyone who hasn't gotten their workshops done yet, you can slip it in still, but you got to email me if you haven't. You got to email me and tell me that you've done it. Otherwise, you're getting a 0 for the ones you haven't done yet. Okay, that's it, I think. I think there's one more thing I want to talk about, which is just simply the idea that everyone needs to be sure, if you haven't already, to give feedback on the class. And you should have gotten emails by now, but make sure you do the course evaluations using Canvas. And you can find it through Canvas. There's course evaluations, and I'm sure you've done this many times already, but make sure you do that. Here's your chance to get feedback on the class. And you can do this after the finals in a way I kind of recommend, so you have the full class experience, but I don't want you to forget. So do it when you can, and use this week if you need. All right, thanks everybody. And reach out to me. I expect to get emails, a lot of emails over the weekend. I expect to get a lot of Zoom sessions going for everyone. I've already got some lined up, but I want to make sure that you utilize me so you're fully, completely ready for Friday. Great, I'll see you guys then.